Long before Portugal came into being, long before walls were erected along this border, a vanished world existed here. Where today we see cliffs, a castle, and a village clinging to the rock, there once lay the ocean floor in times long past. Hundreds of millions of years later, a fortress was built upon those very same stones, linked to the defense of the territory and the Templar presence on the border. In few places is the passage of time so starkly evident. First, the memory of the earth, then the memory of mankind. Penha Garcia is one of those rare places where geological time and history come face to face. Let's discover it. Come and discover Portugal with us. Please like, subscribe, and leave your comment. Your support and opinions are very important to us. Thank you. In the municipality of Idanha Nova, in remote inland Portugal, Penha Garcia stands out in the landscape as a watchtower. The village developed on a dominant rocky ridge, a natural vantage point overlooking the Pônsul River Valley and the surrounding region. Its position explains much of its history. Whoever dominated this terrain controlled surveillance, passage and defense, and it was precisely this relationship between rock and territory that shaped local life over the centuries. The settlement has ancient origins, with traces of occupation dating back well before the Middle Ages, but it was in the context of the consolidation of the Portuguese kingdom and the organization of the border that Penha Garcia gained true strategic importance. The town received a charter from King Afonso III in 1256, having served as the seat of the municipality for centuries, integrated into a line of settlement and defense essential for asserting the royal presence in this border region. Later, in 1303, during the reign of King Denis, the town and its castle were donated to the Order of the Temple, reinforcing Penha Garcia's association with the country's military and territorial history. With the dissolution of this order, the estate passed to the Order of Christ. King Manuel I restored Penha Garcia to royal ownership at the beginning of the 16th century. It was during this period that the castle and the town were depicted by Duarte de Armas in his magnificent Book of Fortresses, circa 1509. By the 17th century, its commandery had been granted to the house of the Count of São Vicente da Beira. Its isolation within Portuguese territory meant that, between 1431 and 1790, it served as a refuge for outlaws. In order to ensure the settlement of the population in these remote territories, the Crown allowed people who had committed crimes to live in safety and freedom, provided they complied with certain rules and built their homes in these localities. In this way, settlement was encouraged, as was the defense of border territories against possible Castilian incursions. This legacy can still be felt today when walking through its narrow streets and climbing towards the castle. Penha Garcia is not merely a preserved historic center. It is a place where the very fabric of the landscape has been woven into the village's construction. The quartzite of the mountains appears in the houses, the walls, the terraces, and the paths. Everything seems to spring from the same rock. At the same time, the memory of the borderlands, rural life, and local traditions remains present in the cultural identity of the village, shaped by centuries of relative isolation and a strong connection to the oral heritage of Beira region's interior. The great monumental symbol of Penha Garcia is, without doubt, its castle. Perched on a very high and steep outcrop, it dominates the valley and seems to extend to the very quartzite ridge upon which it stands. The fortification we see today dates mainly from the medieval period, most likely with Templar involvement, and forms part of a broader defensive strategy linked to other fortresses in the region. This was not merely an isolated castle, it formed part of a network for the surveillance and protection of the border, at a time when Portuguese territory was still being consolidated and defended inch by inch. More than the scale of its structures, what is striking is the way the castle blends into the landscape. The rock becomes a wall, and the wall seems a continuation of the mountain. From there, the view takes in the nestled Pônsul Valley, the steep cliffs, and the vastness of the Beira border region. It is easy to imagine sentries watching for movements in the distance, alert to any sign coming from the border. In addition to the fortress, the town preserves other important heritage features. The parish church of Our Lady of Conception stands out in the urban fabric, as does the pillory, a symbol of the former municipality and the administrative autonomy the town enjoyed for centuries. This pillory, erected in the 16th century during the reign of King Sebastian, is particularly notable as we know who its builders were, Estevão Simão and Domingos Fernandes. Their names are inscribed on the capital, which is a rare occurrence in this type of symbol of local power. The old village centre, with its layout adapted to the hillside, retains a strongly traditional character. At the bottom of the valley, the old water mills by the river serve as a reminder of an economy tied to the use of water and the rhythms of rural life. Today, this relationship between the village and the river is also marked by the Penha Garcia Dam, built on the Pônsul in the 20th century. Set against this backdrop of quartzite cliffs, the dam introduces a new human chapter into an ancient landscape, regulating the river's waters and shaping the surrounding area. Its presence serves as a reminder that the Pônsul Valley is not merely a natural and geological monument, it is also a living space, transformed over time and continuously integrated into the life of the community. But whilst the human history of Penha Garcia would be enough to justify a visit, there is an even more extraordinary aspect here, its geological history. The Pônsul River Valley is one of the most impressive natural landscapes in the Portuguese interior. The river has carved its way between almost vertical cliffs, creating a deep and dramatic gorge where the rock dominates the horizon. This striking landscape was the result of a vast geological process involving marine sedimentation, burial, tectonic deformation, uplift and erosion. Around 480 million years ago, during the Ordovician period, this region lay submerged beneath the shallow sea. There were no mountains, no castles, not even complex terrestrial life as we know it today. There was an ocean floor where sand and mud accumulated, in an environment inhabited by various marine organisms. It is in this ancient fossilized seabed that Penha Garcia holds one of its most famous treasures, ichnofossils, that is, traces of the activity of living beings preserved in the rock. Here, the most impressive thing is not so much finding the fossilized bodies of the animals, but rather the signs of their behavior, the tracks, grooves and marks they left in the sediment as they moved, dug or searched for food. The most famous marks at Penha Garcia are known as cruziana. These are elongated bilobed grooves produced mainly by trilobites, now extinct marine arthropods that lived in the Paleozoic oceans. As they moved across the seabed or stirred up the sediment in search of food, they left marks that were imprinted in the mud or sand. Over time, these surfaces were buried, preserved, and turned to stone. Much later, with the major tectonic movements that affected the Iberian Peninsula, these layers were folded, uplifted, and placed in an almost vertical position. What was once the ocean floor came to form mountain ranges and cliffs. The result is extraordinary. Even today we can trace in the rock the path of animals that lived almost 500 million years ago. In some cases, these marks reveal not just movement but behavior. Some tracks suggest continuous movement, others seem to indicate pauses, digging, or a systematic search for food. At Penha Garcia, the abundance, size and quality of preservation of these remains make the site an international benchmark in the study of Ordovician ichnofossils. It is as if the ancient ocean floor had preserved not only the presence of life, but a fragment of its activity. And it is precisely here that Penha Garcia becomes truly unique. For in its landscape, two depths of time intersect that are almost impossible to reconcile at first glance. On the one hand, geological time, immense, silent, predating any human memory when trilobites roamed the seabed of an unrecognizable planet. On the other, historical time, shorter but equally intense, marked by castles, charters, borders, military orders, and the slow construction of Portugal. In this place, these two histories are not separate, they touch. The medieval castle stands upon rocks that began as marine sediment. The border walls rest upon the memory of a vanished ocean. And the village, in the deepest interior of the country, reminds us that this territory, now so far from the sea, was once the seabed of a submerged oceanic world. Perhaps that is why it makes such an impression on us, because here we see not just a landscape or a monument, we see the passage of time on an almost absolute scale. Penha Garcia is, therefore, much more than a historic village in inland Portugal. It is a place where earth and history meet in a rare and powerful way, a place where the traces of trilobites coexist with the memory of the Knights Templar. Where geology set the scene and men subsequently wrote a new chapter upon the very same stone, and where the deep interior of Portugal silently reminds us that even the mightiest fortress may have begun at the bottom of the sea. Thank you for discovering Portugal with us. If you liked the video, please click on the like button and subscribe to the channel to follow our new releases.